It's time to discuss the last week in professional wrestling with That Way Cool Wrestling Show, Breakout.
Welcome, everybody, to another week of That Way Cool Wrestling Show, Breakout. I am your host, the Celtic Casanova, Johnny McIntyre. Today, I am lucky enough to be joined by my valet, the lovely Samantha Sparks.
Hello, everyone. My name is Samantha Sparks. I will be hosting this show, Breakout, as well as a new and upcoming show, Bite Me, on DJB Productions Network. So make sure you guys like and subscribe, and make sure to watch all of our videos. 5 stars.
All right, so today we're going to start off. Sam, take us down the windy, tawdry road of the dirt sheets and the wonderful world of wrestling and news.
The wrestling news this week. So first we have the Impact Wrestling firing Tessa Blanchard and who is it? Michael Elgin.
Michael Elgin, who's got a tawdry past of claims of sexual abuse. He's got this, ironically enough, the report that's coming out as to why he was fired this time was because he got in a backstage fight with Sami Callihan and it was deemed inappropriate, so therefore they let him go. Tessa Blanchard, on the other hand, has a history of holding women down in the locker room and not allowing others to rise up in order to keep her spot at the top. So what Impact did was they stripped her of the championship. She was the first ever woman to win a mainstream men's championship and was the current champion. But during the pandemic, she refused to come to TV and was unresponsive to filming promos at home and sent them nothing. So finally they had enough and fired her, making her the #1 free agent on the market.
And she was kicked out. Now, do you think that was because of her cattiness in the locker room?
Or? I think it's a mixture of her personality mixed with her unresponsiveness to doing the work that they need her for. She's their champion. Like you're new to watching wrestling.
Exactly.
You've only been watching for about a year. When you're in the wrestling business and a company entrusts you with the championship, you are the face of that company. And it's so important that you make your bookings. If you can't make the towns, you're useless to a company.
Exactly. So now let's carry on to Zicky Dice getting released by NWA Power Wrestling.
I am so excited. I was not a fan of NWA Power. It's just not for me. And I think they put on a great product, but you cannot keep paying your talent in Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness tour merchandise from the 1990s. And that company during the pandemic, unfortunately, is not making any money. I think the wrestling business is better for having NWA Power. But my God, I am so excited. I want Zicky Dice. This guy is just a charisma machine. He can work in the ring. He can cut a promo. He's got character. Like, this guy's got all the tools to be a top star in the business. I can't wait to see him on either AEW or MLW. I think, for me, those are my top 2 choices where I want to see Zicky Dice land. And I couldn't be more excited to see what's next for him.
Okay, so it's nice to hear what you have to say about Zicky Dice, but what do you have to say about the whole COVID outbreak with WWE?
Oh my God.
Because there has been some, you've got AEW. AEW is really following guidelines, but then you've got WWE that's really pushing the limits.
So it came out this week that WWE was not testing the entire time during the pandemic, and they were relying on my facts are a little sketchy here, but they were relying on some sort of spray that they bought that was supposed to, it was some bullshit that Triple H put out there. It was like, yeah, we're buying this spray, and the spray was supposed to make it good for everyone. So this week it's been confirmed that Kevin Owens is staying home. I don't know whether he's had a positive or negative result from his COVID test, but he's determined he doesn't want to put his family at risk, along with like Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn hasn't been on TV. And then you've got Renee Young, who had a positive test, and which makes it interesting because Renee Young is married to AEW's Jon Moxley.
Okay, yes, exactly.
So Jon Moxley he tested negative for COVID, but he missed this week's TV because they had Tony Khan, who runs AEW, wanted to make sure everybody's healthy, and he's trying to run a professional environment.
And you're self-quarantining, which makes sense to just keep Moxley out of things.
You always hear these stories about Vince McMahon and these meetings that he has, and like there's always the I don't know if it's myth or whatever.
What is the saying?
Oh, god damn, pal, there is no sick.
I'm glad he did the Vince McMahon voice because I can't do it.
You're fired.
There you go. So to continue on with our news for the week, our last point, The Undertaker is retiring.
That's definitely the biggest story of the week, and it was very...
I didn't know.
I told her.
I didn't know. I was very surprised.
He very unceremoniously retired after what you would have thought a few years back would have been his in-ring retirement, where he took off his robe, took off his hat, left it all in the middle of the ring, and just fucking vanished.
I feel like
that's the way. I've never been a big Undertaker fan. I respect everything he's done. I respect anybody that fills up their bump card for our enjoyment. But I don't know. Like, Vince McMahon's just trying to take blood from a stone, and you watch this Last Ride documentary, and he keeps getting suckered and suckered and suckered into doing more and more. And like you can see it in his face. He walks into the meeting. He's like, I'm going to tell Vince I'm done. And then he comes out and he's like, oh, God damn it, I'm going to wrestle 3 more matches and I'm going to go to Saudi Arabia in another month.
Well, isn't that the case with everybody that wrestles for WWE? I feel like I've seen everybody come back.
There is no retirement in wrestling.
No
you're not
such
retired
thing.
until you're dead.
They say they retire and you know they're going to come back. Whether it's in a Royal Rumble?
Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble. I always guess the people that were most recently retired.
Royal Rumble's always a good place for a good comeback.
Exactly.
But just moving on to the week in wrestling, there's a big debut on Smackdown last week. Matt Riddle, amongst all the controversy surrounding him. You know, I really hope the allegations towards him aren't true, because I really do feel he brings a legitimacy to wrestling that it's currently lacking.
He's definitely one of my favorites, I'd say.
His match with AJ was phenomenal last Friday. No pun intended. AJ
Styles,
right
Funko set.
They don't want none.
We wish we were sponsored. Sorry. Put that down.
It's brought to you by AJ Styles.
Sorry.
So AJ wrestled Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle got a big win on SmackDown. So hopefully his future is bright and they keep the ball moving there. There's really nothing else noteworthy. I guess on SmackDown, Bray Wyatt came back as the original Bray Wyatt, like the Hill people kind of. He used to be this gimmick where
before the crazy psycho guy. Oh, I like the Fiend. That was my favorite. He was the guy who carried the head like as a lantern, right? He was my favorite. It was weird.
It's too limiting a gimmick. Should have been treated like an attraction rather than an every week on TV.
It's whatever you say.
Whatever.
It's whatever you say.
Yeah.
Go ahead, continue.
All right.
Well, no, continuing on with the AEW Dynamite this week, we had some seriously serious matches.
Yes, we did. It started off, boy, did it kick off hot. Wardlow and Luchasaurus, 2 of the younger guys, going at it in a lumberjack match. And might I add, what a nice touch of my man Chucky T and Trent, because you're not allowed to say his last name because WWE owns that, dressed as actual lumberjacks. These 2 went at it, and boy, did they set up a nice match for Fyter Fest coming up with Jurassic Express against MJF and Wardlow. I'm looking forward to it. Let the young guys shine. It really gave a nice chance for Luchasaurus and Wardlow to really demonstrate what they can do in a ring with a spotlight on.
I don't know how I feel about Jungle Boy, though. Is it Jungle Boy Luke Perry? No, Jack Perry?
Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
Jack Perry. Everybody knows I have something to say about Jungle Boy Jack Perry, Mr. I'm wearing a, a banana hammock with no banana. Sorry.
Jesus, that's a hot
I don't mean to say it, but, geez, wear a singlet or something.
So anyway, moving on past that, we got what AEW promised from the beginning, which was a focus on tag team wrestling. We have multiple tag matches sprinkled through the show. Some hit, some miss. I didn't much care for Cabana and Harper against Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela. I'm just not a fan there. It doesn't do anything for me. but they did a nice job establishing the Dark Order and what they're doing with Colt Cabana. I'm intrigued to tune back next week. The tag match that really caught my eye, though, was FTR versus SCU.
I don't know about that, but go ahead. Continue on.
That match was old school tag wrestling. For once in AEW, somebody followed the rules, and the referee didn't look foolish in the process. AEW has a real officiating problem, and adding with tag wrestling to have some sort of realism involved with it. Like the referee's job is to call the action as he sees it. Sometimes they just blatantly cheat, and the referee knows they're not supposed to call for disqualification. But it makes it hard when he's not distracted or doing something like that.
Exactly, and you have to kind of keep the story going.
Exactly. And AEW closed out with...
Let me do it. This is my favorite, isn't it? Let's say Orange Cassidy and Jericho. Chris Jericho, I mean, he's what I always used to say I didn't like Jericho, but I think it was just because Jericho's really good at what he does, and he's a really, really good heel.
She bought him.
But then I saw Orange Cassidy, and I mean, hands in the pocket, kick to the shit. Well, backwards, but you know what I mean. He's great.
But what Orange Cassidy has been doing lately is he's been showing us that, you know, he's going to get under Jericho's skin. Jericho sat there in that ring. He said, I don't want the shin kicks. What does Orange Cassidy do? Kicks him in the shin.
And he wanted to hear him talk, but there was no talking.
So he got under Jericho's skin, riled him up. Then the very second Jericho comes after him, Orange Cassidy decides he's going to try. And the King of Slaw style and the GOAT of wrestling, Chris Jericho, battled all around the arena. Fantastic. Couldn't have enjoyed it anymore.
I enjoy it.
So this week, AEW took an L in the ratings to NXT. A very rare L, but NXT did have a powerful main event this week.
Tell me about it.
And it was the title scene, in my opinion, NXT has been very stale.
Okay.
Velveteen Dream and Adam Cole squared off in that weird parking lot match we watched a couple weeks ago.
I love Velveteen Dream.
I love Velveteen Dream too, but there was nothing there in that match for me. I don't really care for that match didn't need a cinematic feel to it.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think that was one of those where I kind of came in the room at the last second, and I was like, "What are you? Are we watching theater or wrestling here? I mean,
it just didn't need it. Those are two of the best workers going right now, and they could have put on a quality match. But to put the cinematic style was kind of handcuffing. They did tell a good story that's continued this week with Dexter Lumis. I don't think you've ever seen Dexter Lumis.
I don't think I've ever seen
Real
him
imposing fellow, psychotic, looks like a serial killer. He's been stalking the Undisputed Era for weeks now.
Oh.
And Roderick Strong is terrified. He's had to go to therapy. He was supposed to square off with Dexter Lumis this week, but as soon as they got close, Roderick ran away.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
But then that leads me back to where I was before with the title scene. So last week it was announced that there would be a triple threat match for the North American Championship, which Keith Lee was defending against Finn Balor and Johnny Gargano.
Okay.
I'm not buying into bad guy Johnny Gargano.
Bad guy.
I'm sorry. I can't do it.
Bad guy Johnny and Candace. I think Candace is way less viable than that. I can see.
I believe
Johnny.
her more as a heel than I do Johnny as a heel. And I'm not buying either one of them as a heel.
Maybe it's because I feel like when I first came into wrestling, it was right around when Gargano and Ciampa were right at each other's necks. So
that's what put you into wrestling.
So Gargano was the big baby face, and I loved Ciampa because he was the heel. He was mean. Everybody hated him. He was wonderful. I don't know.
So anyway, this main event was a triple threat match. Keith Lee defending his title against Balor and Gargano. And the winner of that in 2 weeks goes on to face Adam Cole in a winner-take-all.
Baby.
Both titles, excuse me, this beer's getting me tonight. Both titles on the line. Keith Lee came out on top of the match. So we are going to have Keith Lee versus Adam Cole. Baby. Boom. In 2 weeks at the Great American Bash. Now, talk about the cattiness of WWE. WWE owns the rights to a lot of what Dusty Rhodes created.
Okay.
The Great American Bash is something that the Rhodes family holds near and dear to their heart. Cody tried to trademark the name when it got lapsed. It fell through. I don't know the logistics of exactly what happened.
Okay.
So AEW is running a pseudo pay-per-view the next 2 weeks, Fyter Fest.
Okay.
This was the go-home week for that. All of a sudden, out of the blue, WWE decides to give a little bit of a renaissance to the Great American Bash after, I don't know, maybe about 10 years or more of not using that
Without
name.
seeing it at all.
Yeah, it hasn't been a pay-per-view in 10 years. So now all of a sudden they're just trying to counter-program. Good for them. They got to do what they have to do. It only benefits the fans. I just think it's kind of a catty move with all the contributions.
I think them's is fighting words from WWE to AEW.
Well, AEW's been kicking their ass every week.
I know, but
pretty
them's
much.
is fighting words. Let me have my fun.
So that pretty much brings us up to date. Smackdown airs tonight, so obviously we don't have any thoughts on that yet.
We'll have some stuff to talk about next
That'll
week.
be next week. That's the hook for next week.
I'm going to watch.
But, so one last thing I want to talk about. So you were in the shower.
Yes. Okay, I'm ready
So
for this.
you were in the shower, and I went on Netflix today.
And he watched The Catch Fetish.
Catch Fetish. I wasn't watching porn
I knew
that
that.
she's aware of.
I knew that.
So Catch Fetish. Netflix today dropped this documentary series called Home Game. And one of the episodes was an episode about what professional wrestling is like in the Congo, in a town called Kinshasa, which is, oddly enough, Shinsuke Nakamura's name for his finisher.
Yes, it is.
But it takes place in Central Africa, and Catch Fetish is what they call their professional wrestling. So this whole episode, it builds around, I'm incredibly fascinated by it. I'm probably going to go rewatch it just because I enjoyed it so much. And I'm sure I missed stuff because it's subtitled, because they're speaking French and you have to read and follow along
And it's
as to what's going on.
It's taking place in the heart of the Congo. So, they're speaking French, they're speaking very quickly, and they're really passionate about what they're talking about.
So the fetish part of it is, I know what catch is. Catch is something in wrestling, like a catch style wrestling. Catch is catch can, like a lot of hold for hold kind of wrestling.
Okay.
The fetish I was unsure of. So they explain what it is in the documentary. And the fetish is magic and like witch doctors and like
sorcery.
And sorcery. Oh my goodness.
Sorcery.
So it incorporates like the ritual beliefs of like the individual village of where they're doing this catch fetish.
Okay.
And every community, it's like old school wrestling territories. So each community in the Congo has their own wrestling promotion, has their own big stars and everything. So what happens is they all gather, like they train in back alleys. It's a third world country, and they're training on tarps in back alleys and taking bumps on tarps. Like it was incredible the way that they explain it and the storytelling that they did. So where it lines up is they're going through, it's show day.
Okay.
And show day starts with a parade. Wrestling is culture over there. Wrestling, your introduction to wrestling has been very Americanized, where like you post it on Facebook and people make fun of you. Like, how do you watch that stuff? It's for kids and all this stuff.
There's still culture behind it when you care.
But it was so cool just to watch something where like Japanese, Mexico, like it's part of culture. And in Congo, it's culture too. And it was so cool the way everybody suspended their disbelief.
Now, what do you think about, I know there was a period where they were trying to kind of eradicate like Western influence. So how, like, did they proceed through it? Are they still doing that there? Like, obviously.
So it's an even mix of what we know as professional wrestling in the States, and they put their own spin on it, which is good from like a storytelling standpoint of like, they'll be in a match and like the manager on the outside comes in and puts a spell on somebody. And like they fall victim to the spell in the match. And it's such a big thing. And it was so cool. And like the ringside seats, like there's only a certain amount of seats. Everybody else is standing room only. And the seats are for dignitaries, people of political prominence, and oddly enough, witch doctors. doctors.
Of course, the witch doctors.
witch doctors.
Oddly enough, do you hear him?
You listen to Rachel Hooper, go to the Congo.
Rachel!
They got a seat for you. But, one last thing. Before I can't recommend this enough. Go on to Netflix. It's called Home Game. Check out the episode. I'm going to watch the rest of the series because this one was so well done. But the wrestling one really caught my eye. Catch Fetiche. Check it out. Leave in the comments what you thought. Let's talk about it.
But before you watch that, make sure you go back to DJB Productions Network and please watch all of our videos. You'll be thoroughly impressed.
There's something for everybody on there.
You haven't seen enough of me yet, but you'll see more of me.
And I got to say, my podcast of the week, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I love to hear the stories of the boys in the back. Go on, and after you're done and you're caught up on your weekly content from DJB Productions Network, go on and listen to Talk is Jericho, where he interviews Mike Chioda, longtime WWE referee. So many fun stories he told about guys ribbing each other backstage and everything. I'll leave it at that. It's a great listen while you're driving. Well, Sam, we're at the end of our first episode together on this new and improved Outbreak.
Johnny, you'll get it right one day. It is Breakout.
Sorry, we're filming late. I've had a few.
I know you're
This is
used
Breakout.
to. I know he's used to filming with Angus and his outbreaks, but
Well, he got the ointment.
yeah, but that's why he's not here today.
I put it on.
He's a little. I know. Don't talk about that. Don't listen. We don't want to.
Well, I think if there's ever a time for last call, it's right now. Sam, I'll let you start off with last call. This week in wrestling, what was your favorite thing that you came across?
I already talked about it. I already brought up my favorite thing of the week was the AEW Dynamite and the Orange Cassidy Chris Jericho match.
The match didn't happen. It was just
the
match is in 2 weeks.
It's kind of like the prom. The anticipation is much better than the actual thing.
There is nobody better than Orange Cassidy when he tries.
I was really impressed.
All right, so real quick prediction: who gets the win at Fyter Fest in 2 weeks? That's on the second night of Fyter Fest. Do we have Chris Jericho maintaining GOAT status, or do we have Orange Cassidy?
I think Chris Jericho. He is going to continue to be Le Champion.
He doesn't have a champion. He keeps calling himself.
Okay, but that's what he is. Champion. Yeah, well,
I'm going Orange Cassidy.
I don't think so.
But my favorite moment of the week came on Instagram today.
Oh!
Cody Rhodes, you rascal. You know all the hate that you've been getting on the internet for that neck tattoo.
It's horrible.
It's horrendous.
It's horrible.
Cody Rhodes is trying to get monetary gain off of this, and he is selling temporary tattoo packs.
3 at a time.
3 at a time.
3 of the same tattoo at a time.
Hideous fucking neck tattoo. There's nothing I laughed at more this week or enjoyed. I just think that's wonderful. Wrestlers are great at monetizing things and turning everything into a t-shirt or a product.
Gotta
or
love
something like that.
Get it at your nearest Spirit Halloween, which is going to be everywhere this
Well, this
Halloween.
has been fun.
It's been fun, Johnny. I really appreciate
We
you
should
having
do it now that we signed these new lucrative contracts at DJB Productions Network.
We're going to be here every
week. This is the new and improved Breakout.
Yay!
Not Outbreak. Thank you so much for joining us. For Samantha Sparks, I'm Johnny McIntyre. Don't forget to go to DJB Productions Network. Like and subscribe. We'll see you again next week. Keep it too sweet.
Thank you for listening to that Way Cool Wrestling Show Breakout. We'll see you at the matches. Goodbye, everybody.